Welcome to Bruneck, the 25th episode of the Launch and Landing series. There are two paragliding areas here, Kronplatz, which we can see right in front of us, and Pfalzen on the opposite of the Pustertal Valley. First time for me in this paragliding area, so I was curious to see the top of the mountain, which is a popular paragliding place, even if the weather's not so good as today or in winter, as the height difference is more than 1,300 meters and a normal flight lasts for about 20 minutes even if there are no servers. And we have various takeoffs here to all directions. I'll just go around now. Starting at the north takeoff, which is in the middle of the cable cars. Then moving on to the west takeoff, to the northwest takeoff, and to the second west takeoff at the same ridge. On the other side of the mountain, we find the south takeoff, followed by several places where it's possible to launch towards the east. And finally we are back at the northern part of the mountain again. Let's start with the first takeoff towards the north. While most of the other paragliding areas around are problematic in north wind situations, at Kronplatz optimal conditions can be found at moderate north winds. Here we can see the takeoff towards the north directly in front of us. The terrain is quite flat at the top and increasingly sloping down steeper. It should not be a problem to get out here safely, even though there are some obstacles around, such as the close by cable car and some artificial snowmaking poles right in front of the takeoff. One more view to this takeoff from the top, and now we continue to the northwest and to the west launch sites. They can be found to the right of the north-facing mountainside. Here another pilot is launching towards the northwest in moderate winds from the front. The whole ridge to the north and to the west is about 200 meters long and offers various takeoff opportunities to all directions within the range of west, west-northwest, northwest and north-northwest. A first windsock at a western oriented hillside we find below the restaurant, and on the right hand side here you can see the west takeoff according to the coordinates of the German Paragliding Association. But as there is construction sites around, things might change. Here we're now in front of the northwest takeoff, and in the distance we can see a couple of other windsocks indicating more takeoff options. The terrain here is facing north-northwest, and if we go up a little bit further the hill, behind this windsock, there's another west option. An overview of the area from the drone. This view from the side shows us the slope of the terrain. In my opinion, these takeoffs are not very difficult, and there's a lot of space around if something goes wrong. So I'll also give it a try to get out here. There we are, and in front a mountain ledge is visible. We have to fly over to get down to the landing. Between the west takeoff and the south takeoff, there's the famous Westner Mountain Museum. Right next to it we find the south takeoff. At the time of visit, not a lot of pilots had been around, so at this takeoff, only tandem pilots and their guests were launching. This takeoff site to me is one of the easiest takeoff sites I ever seen. It is a huge meadow facing to the south. It is not very steep and it also allows launching towards the southwest. The only question is it high enough to cross the mountain ledge on the other side of the mountain safely? The distance from the south takeoff to the mountain ledge is about 1,200 meters and the height difference about 250 meters. So for most gliders it should be no problem. Here we can see the both tandems and they have by far enough height for crossing. From the Messner Mountain Museum, again a view at the huge meadow of the south takeoff. The eastern part of the mountain is characterized by many wide slopes and meadows. According to the German Paragliding Association, there are different takeoffs possible here, but there are also new cable cars under construction, so it's better to check out what is possible at time of visit. Here is an example of an eastern facing meadow. And up there, an official takeoff according to the launch site database of the German Paragliding Association. Another windsock I found a little bit further towards the northern part of the mountain again. Doesn't really look so good to get out as it's very flat, but never mind, there's plenty of space to get out somewhere at the eastern flank of the mountain. Let's move on to the landing, which is right next to the cable car station at the bottom of the mountain. On an altitude of 943 meters, the landing is facing from east to west. It is about 200 meters long and 50 meters wide. Obstacles are the tree range and the farmhouses in front of it. A second landing can be found about 250 meters up the mountain to the right-hand side of the cable car. Back up on the mountain, we have a great view to the Taufer Valley on the right-hand side and to the Pfalzen paragliding area on the left-hand side. Pfalzen is also only a couple of minutes from Bruneck by car. It's a small place with a south-facing takeoff and a huge landing. Hang gliders are using this area since the end of the 70s, and especially in spring it's a good starting point for cross-country flights along the Pustertal Valley. The takeoff is on an altitude of about 1,600 meters and the height difference to the landing is about 600 meters. The area is private and a small fee has to be paid. That's it from Bruneck and Pustertal Valley. I hope you enjoyed the video.